offensive security, penetrating into the servers and stuff. Then I moved down to, post my graduation, I moved down to EduSkills, worked there as a trainer, then moved from EduSkills towards Palo Alto Networks. There again, I led the Cybersecurity Academy team for the APJ Asia Pacific region. And now at Zscaler, leading the global Zscaler Academic Alliance program. Now, let me quickly give you an overview of Zscaler and the journey that we have in Zscaler. So, we call ourselves to be the leaders in secure digital transformation. Now, I'll tell you the reason why. The company has an annual turnover of $2 billion. There's a 62% of year-on-year growth that we have. And every SaaS company has a NPS, which is Net Promoter Score. It's basically, let us say, take an example of any SaaS-based company, Microsoft, for instance. If they use an OEM's products for the security purpose, they start promoting those specific products. So that's the NPS score. And again, the average score that we have is above 70, which is, usually every company has not more than 30. So there again, we lead in the transformation journey. I'll be going through all the verticals wherein we have our footprints. I'll show you sort of customers / partners do we have in the whole Zscaler community. So our journey started off on during the year 2007 when Zscaler was founded, and there were 25th patent filed by our CEO's name. So I'll tell you the CEO's journey also. He's an Indian, by the way. So we started off with a multi-tenant cloud security platform. That was the only industry's multi-tenant cloud security platform that was available back then. And moving ahead, we started working on the inline DLP, different SSO integrations, mobile security, the CASB, inline CASB, cloud sandbox, DNS security, and cloud firewall. I'll tell you where do these aspects come into our products. Then until today, we have more than 100 patents filed under our company's name. Ours is a completely cloud security platform, as I mentioned. We are a SaaS-based secure web gateway. It is not similar to VPN. Let me make that clear, because we replace 17 security products when we, when customers come onboarded towards the Zscaler technology. And the second thing that we have, or the next thing that we have, is we have 150 plus data centers all over the globe. There are 5 data centers in India alone, right? And about more than 350 billion requests are processed per day. Now, these requests are, on a security standpoint, each and every traffic that goes to a specific private app, or for that matter, any SaaS-based application that goes through our cloud, and we process 350 billion plus requests on a daily basis. There are 7 billion plus security incidents which we have prevented successfully, and about 200,000 plus unique signatures, or the the database that we have, the threat library that we have, that gets updated after every hour. So that's a part on us, wherein we see to it that our customers and our partners are completely secured on an hourly basis. These are a few industry verticals where we have our footprints. The first, you can probably take a photo of this, because these are finally your hiring personals, wherein we'll be closing the loop. I'll tell you how are we going to do that as well. We are already in maximum of the Fortune 100s, and we are already in the 62% of the Nifty 50 category companies that are currently prevailing in India. There are a few more wherein our evaluations are happening. They are our prospects, so which will be, they'll again be onboarded very soon. Now, the way our secure transformation journey happens is in 4 phases. First is we empower the whole of organization with Zscaler for users. Zscaler for users is nothing but a platform-based approach that we have in order to secure our customers / partners on which comprises of all the three main products that Zscaler its own has. The second is protecting data everywhere, wherein comes our next part, which is data protection. We see to it that none of your internal data gets exfiltrated. I'll tell you how do we achieve that in the coming slides. Then zero trust for workloads. Now, can anybody tell me what exactly is zero trust? Any idea what is zero trust? Anybody in the audience there? Okay. So zero trust comes with a saying, trust no one, verify everyone. So we don't trust even our internal employees, for that matter, when it comes to the access part. Then, workloads are something which needs to be secured because they are easy, bait when it comes to compromising things. Now, workloads, by that what I mean is CCTV cameras, network printers, so on and so forth, which are basically the IoT, OT things which come into picture. Then the fourth phase is enabling our customers and suppliers with all the offerings that Zscaler as a company has to attain or close that loop of securing their digital transformation journey. So, as I mentioned, Jay Chaudhary, he is a CEO and he comes from the very old, he comes from a, village near to Himachal Pradesh, right? And his journey of education was exactly what, pictures show these days. He used to, travel 45 kilometers just to get his BTech degree. So, previous to Zscaler or prior to Zscaler, Jay has had many companies of his own, again in the same security background, and he has that initiative or he has that mentality to give back to the Indian community. That is where the Zscaler Academic Alliance program comes into picture. This initiative of ZAP is 6 months, it's 6 months old, and 6 months down the line, we are going to cover maximum of student footprints and getting the future workforce ready. Now, our mission and vision both align with our company's mission and visions and company's goals as well. Now, the reason why we train students is because, when you're already trained on an industry level product, it is easy for you to get placed and secure a future job when in whichever vertical, in whichever industry you're probably looking out for. Let that be banking, let that be workloads, let that be shipping industry. There are multiple, industries which Zscaler has its footprint into. The customer base that we have is more than 8,000 customers globally. Now, when it comes to the curriculums and offerings, I will move towards an approach first. Now, the way we, approach towards training the future workforce is first, yes, we have got the curriculum, and this is majorly for the administration at the colleges. We have got the curriculum, we give them the curriculum, you can use it as and how required you want it, you can integrate it in your, regular credit-based curriculum as well. AICT virtual internship is anyhow there, which gives about 2 credits if I'm not wrong. Okay, yeah. So you can take that up. You can include our curriculum, we give you that. Then comes the faculty enablement. Now, before the students getting trained or the end users getting trained, we want an authorized instructor who would be our hands and legs on the field at that specific college. So the faculty has to go through a train the trainer session, train the trainer courses, and FDP, which we usually call, and moving forward with which the faculty gets one-time 100% discount voucher to be, and yes, certification is necessary. They have to pass the certification to be an authorized instructor. Then I'll come to the third part later on, but the interesting part for the students is we give the curriculum to all the academic partners free of cost, and from a certification voucher standpoint, we give heavily discounted certifications to certification vouchers to the students. The discounts range between 75 to 85%, sometimes also 90% discount, which we offer. Coming to the third aspect, this is again majorly for the faculties and the board of studies here, we have got a customized curriculum option wherein you let us know what requirement you have. We build the micro credentials for your students and give it to you. You use it as you wish. You take our curriculum. But the only thing that the students would be benefited is with an extra certificate at the end of that micro credentialing course. Coming on to the course offerings. Now, how do we, close the loop in training the students is we consider that the students know nothing. Yes, you already are getting a foundation at the college, but we consider that you know nothing. And we start off with a very fundamental certificate, which takes you through fundamentals of networking, fundamentals of cybersecurity, and then fundamentals of zero trust as well. Moving forward with which we have got ZTCA, which is Zero Trust Certified, that should be associate, not architect, my bad, there's a typo there. But yeah, that speaks about 7 tenets of zero trust. So these first two offerings that we have are vendor agnostic, vendor neutral. Now you might raise a question, when it's vendor neutral, why should I take Zscaler courses when I've got other OEMs also offering the same? We have given a slight touch as to how we use those concepts. Now, for example, the 7 tenets of zero trust that you'd be taking up in the intermediate course. So we show you how these 7 tenets are connected, with the products that Zscaler owns or Zscaler has. Then the third or the advanced course is our commercial offerings that all of our customers and partners currently go through, wherein you also have extensive hands-on labs. That's a complete package of 80 hours of e-learning plus labs plus the exam. So again, we leave it up to the college as to how they want to take that, how they want to include it for the students. You can design the whole curriculum for them and then integrate these courses. From a lab perspective, the only requirement that we have is good internet connection. Everything is a cloud-based platform for us. So we are eliminating any hardware requirements that we used to have in our previous lives. Okay, now we'll get on to the technical aspects of the Zscaler Zero Trust technology. But before moving to that, if you have any queries, please, until what has been covered until now, please do shoot those queries out to me. I'll try to answer maximum of your queries, but for those which I don't have an answer, I can surely get back to you with that. Anyone, any queries? Any queries related to placements or stuff? Okay, so when there are no queries, I would either take it in this way that you have understood everything or you have understood nothing. Which approach do you want me to take? Second one? I heard someone saying second one. Any which ways, okay. So let's get on to the technical aspects of Zscaler Zero Trust part. I know it's near to your lunchtime. I'll not take of your time, but a few slides that I already have. So now the way we secure any of our organizations are basically we start with the initiators. So we call all of the workloads, mobile devices, laptops, and applications that talk with each other as initiators. There are, as I mentioned, there are 7 tenets that each of the traffic has to go through and then reach towards the destination. So when it comes to the way we do that, we first stop and check who you are, which is the first part of verification of an identity of an entity. Can either a user plus device, it can be a workload, it can be your internal applications that talk to each other. For example, from knowledge perspective, your marks website, which is related to which is connected to your examination branch server, right? So those internal applications talk to each other. That is where first we stop and check if they are really the correct ones based on the type of identity that has been given to those specific applications or those specific entities. The second that we do is, can we trust the device or can we trust that specific person who's trying to access? The third thing is, okay, let us say even if we trust the device and the user, what is the risk that we'll have in case that person is not an authorized personnel to access that data. That is where we check from, or that is where we prevent any data exfiltration or any data aggressing the organizational network unless and until those specific criteria, compliance criteria are placed forward by the, or are satisfied, which are placed forward by the organization. Then, the main part comes, where exactly is that connection going? That's fine. You're a student. You're accessing your attendance portal, for instance, but you're trying to do some mischief with the attendance, trying to tamper it. That is where the zero trust exchange. So we call it a zero trust exchange cloud, which is smart enough to decide if there is a mischievous behavior, that has been taking place by the user while establishing a connection. If that happens, automatically your connection is dropped or your request is dropped. But if, let us say, you didn't satisfy that and you have all the necessary permissions to access that specific internal application or external SaaS-based application, you are then allowed to go and establish the connection with those apps. But here is the main place where we secure your internal apps. Do we have anything to whiteboard? Whiteboard. Okay, that's fine. But the place where I was saying how we secure internal apps is, first, when the connection is granted, right? I'll be talking about that in the coming slides also. But when the connection is granted, we don't allow the users to access everything that is there on that network. There's a stitching happening at the cloud. So there's an inside-out connection from the private apps towards the Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange, and there's a stitching that happens which gives access to that specific user only to that specific application which he or she is authorized to use. Now, the traditional way of securing any entity was a castle and moat structure, wherein we sort of not referencing, but we compare it with the castle and moat structure, because in previous days when we had castles, all the important assets were placed in between the castles, and then there was safeguarding that was happening. That is how the current or traditional way of security is. Everything is placed inside a specific perimeter, and then there is a trusted network that has been created, wherein all the users can access everything and anything that is probably inside their data centers or on their outbound SaaS-based applications. Now, this is an illustration of how attackers do, please put forward the attack. So, any branch, data center or factory that you have has a server associated to it. Every server, to access it over the internet, has a public IP. Now, when you use firewalls or VPNs, your public IP is still exposed to the attackers, which increases the attack surface for the attackers to directly attack on the public IPs and try to exfiltrate the data by moving laterally and exfiltrating the data for their own use. Now, that use can be different as per the different data breaches that have happened. And that is where we come into picture from a zero trust perspective, that let us say you have got a visitor who has visited. He comes down to the reception, the receptionist receives him, and then the ID is checked. They check as to which room should that visitor be going. In case of a traditional method, the visitor has access to all the rooms and everything that is probably there inside that specific organizational network. But when we compare it with the zero trust part, once the visitor comes to the receptionist, identity is matched, there's an escort. The escort will see that specific person goes down to only the room room 7 in that case, room 7 where the person has to go. That is what is called zero trust. Now, if I have to compare the zero trust with the real-time example, right? One thing I can surely tell is airports, right? Airports do follow a slightly similar path. You go down to the counter, you give your identity, you give your boarding pass there, your identity is matched, and then the cameras that are there They track you continuously, looking as to where exactly are you heading. Are you heading to the correct gate? Are you heading to the correct terminal and the correct gate? If not, then those things are flagged. In the same way, zero trust also works, wherein we check as to if the data is going to the designated place or if it is moving across in a specific network. Again, another example of how we secure using the zero trust part. In the very first case, he's an unwanted caller. We'll call him as caller X. Now, in the traditional way or in the traditional security part, they can directly call anyone since the public IP or the public information is disclosed. But when it comes to zero trust, that man is, the person X is calling, but he is being sort of intercepted in between by a zero trust entity which checks in for all the identities and accesses. When it is not authorized, the internal apps or the end destination is safeguarded by not allowing the caller X to reach down to its own destination and attain whatever access that was requested for. Okay, I was talking about Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange. Now let us see what architecture do we follow in the Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange, which is the brain of all of our products. First, as I mentioned, verify, and these are the 7 tenets. Basically, this is the same architecture that you'll be going through in the intermediate course. So these are the 7 tenets that I'm quickly summarizing upon. The first section is verify identity and context as to when we break this down into 3 parts or 3 tenets. The first tenet verifies the identity of a specific person. If that is allowed, then the next check happens as to what exactly is the context, where exactly is that specific connection going. The next part is controlling the risk. It's to assess what risk does the packet has if it is allowed to get inside or go into the organizational network. Then creating a mix of both the sections, which is your verification or section 1 and section 2, we create policies, and these policies, we have got our best practices, but these policies are also tailored with the compliance procedures or compliance requirements that every organization has. And with this, then there is an inside-out connection for the SaaS-based applications, but the stitching happens for internal applications at the Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange cloud itself. And yes, as I mentioned, we minimize the attack surface by replacing about 17 different security items, which I will let you know as to what exact security solutions do we replace. So what offering does Zscaler has? This is a skills offering that we have. Basically, Zscaler for users, which comprises of our 3 major products: ZIA, which is Zscaler Internet Access; ZPA, Zscaler Private Access; and ZDX, which is Zscaler Digital Experience. All of the 3 verticals or all of the 3 products have different functionalities. And we'll get into those, how do they work as well in the coming slides. The second offering is Zscaler for workloads. It's to how do we attain the zero trust concept on the workloads, irrespective of how many ever workloads you might have. And the third offering is Zscaler for devices, which is basically, we call it as Zscaler for IoT, OT, which is Internet of Things and operational things, wherein we secure all of the IoT-based for example, a shipping industry has IoT-based cranes. Now there is literal minimum, manual intervention for these cranes, and that is where we come. Any wrong or any attacks on these IoT, OT devices will lead to not only malfunctioning, but also loss of business. So there is where we come in order to attain the zero trust and see that we secure the IoT, OT, organizations as well. Yeah, so as I told you, the 17 products that we completely replace our, they sit there. We see to it that our customers have the most cost-effective security solution and only one-stop security solution in order to secure their digital transformation. I'll be talking about how do we attain that in the coming slides. And one such immediate benefit was Shell, wherein we attained securing 130,000 users within a time span of 6 weeks. Similarly, there is another customer of ours, HDFC Bank. We were able to, prevent and stop nearly about 1 billion attacks, which were from different fraudsters for the fraud aspects, and also for those who are trying to have a DDoS attack on, the instances of the bank. Now, the ecosystem that we have made it very user-friendly. Now, by that what I mean is, let us say there are different, IDPs which a specific organization is using since, past long. We have an API integration part for each and every security solution, IDPs, SaaS-based applications, and also SaaS-based private applications. And I'll be talking about one such example in the coming slides about one SaaS-based application, which is a direct, partner to us, and how do we attain the best user experience. Now, the traditional way that usually happens in connecting a user to the private apps is basically through VPNs. And we want to eliminate VPN completely. Now, by that, what I mean is any user who's at his home tries to first connect to the VPN or the dematerialized zone, we call it as DMZ zone, and then gets a direct connection to the internal applications. But when it comes to the zero trust aspect, it's not that part. Zero trust is quite different. All the initiators go until zero trust, but they don't go further from the zero trust exchange. Whereas we have got an outbound connection from the internal applications towards the zero trust exchange, where the stitching exactly happens. Now, one such organization which we surely evaluated was Acme.com. We did not attack them directly, but it was just a basic evaluation, and wherein we found out there were many known vulnerabilities which that specific customer had. Yes, we were able to attain secure digital transformation for these customers as well. Now, the example which I was talking about from a SaaS-based private app, it's Microsoft. So we have direct integrations with Microsoft, and we are their preferred security partner. That is what Mr. Satya Nadella has also mentioned for any of the security aspects. They recommend Zscaler because we attain, we guarantee that the user experience will be the best with a latency of less than 2 milliseconds. That's the place wherein we attain zero trust and also see that the user experience is not hindered. Okay, before I move in depth on the products that we have, any queries? Okay, cool. So the first product that we have is ZIA, which is Zscaler Internet Access. And we'll look as to how does ZIA function in order to attain the zero trust part. Yes, there are different aspects in ZIA. We have got the access control, we have got threat protection, we have got DLP also. We'll not get deeper into this. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this, but I'll be also sharing a few slide decks with the college, which you can probably access later. Yeah, now the traditional way of, I know I've been using the word traditional from a long time, but that's the concept here. The traditional way is any data packet that is initiated from the initiator has to go through multiple different security products in order to categorize that specific data as a secured data. There comes a very low user experience because of the latency that every product has in order to verify or in order to, for that matter, check on to as to what, you know, if that specific packet is malicious or if it can be allowed. But when it comes to zero trust or Zscaler's enforcement node, once the packet enters or reaches the zero trust exchange, it is at the same time sent to all of the different checks that we perform. The latency, as I mentioned, less than 2 milliseconds is what we attain with this enforcement node, having one vendor, one UI, one action, and no copies, right? So that everything goes in for once, and then you'll get the security or secured report in no matter of a small time. Now, the way zero trust exchange works, I will first have the slide ready here. Okay, yeah. So, when it comes to the endpoints, right? Yes, there might be endpoint detection, software or endpoint detection solutions that you might be using, but Zscaler also performs device posture check. Now, the reason we perform device posture check is, how many of you are still using pen drives? Do you, so that's first part where, I mean, yes, pen drives are good to have, but it is also good to have good security posture of your own, laptops or mobile devices that you use. There are chances wherein those can be compromised unknowingly, because yes, pen drives are the primary source of transferring malware / ransomware / any of the malicious files from one system to the other. Yes, there are other parts also to it, not only the pen drive. You have got cracked softwares, you have got, I know, there had been a time wherein I was a student and I used to use cracked softwares to gain something in the games or so. But that again hinders your device, security aspect. There we come into picture and have a proper device posture check, and yes, those reports are also given to the customer on a timely basis. Then the second thing is verification of the identity and authorization, wherein we check if that person is, if that person is really a part of that specific entity, and if he or she is authorized to